Hey friends, welcome back. Today I have been thinking about this quote from Tony Robbins, who's a motivational speaker. And he says, in essence, if we want to direct our lives, we must take control of our consistent actions. It is not what we do once in a while that shapes our lives, but what we do consistently. Amen to that. That's the life I live every day as a practitioner, as a person, as a human, for myself, just figuring out day to day, who am I? Where do I want to aim the arrow of my life? Where am I going? One has to be clear and one has to be consistent. And in order to be clear, you have to know who you are. This is not an easy task. I think it's the purpose of our lives is to come to figure out and discover and meet ourselves, who we are, true selves. And one of the ways that I know that's helped me the most is by coming onto my mat, through yoga, through Qigong practice. But I gotta say this, not all yoga and Qigong practices are made equal. I've got a lot of patients who, when they come to see me for whatever health concern, it might be something going on with their digestion, their respiratory system, reproductive system, could be anything, not just physical pain. And if I might recommend yoga, they say, "Oh, I do yoga," or "Yeah, I do Qigong." But it's not so much that you do that practice. It's really about how you do it. Where is the light being shined? Where is your attention being drawn? Oftentimes when we do those movement practices, we're directing our attention to a particular place, not really hearing the voice inside, the call from inside the body saying, "Hey, can you just look over here for a minute?" So finding a practice that really fits with expanding your awareness and letting your attention come to rest where it's being called, that is amazing yoga practice or Qigong practice. That's why I love Dao Yin so much, because between the movements you have these opportunities to reflect and notice, gosh, what happened from that practice I just did, from that movement, from that breathing sequence, and B, where is my body now calling my attention? And then you can respond to that. So it really is like your practice becomes a really natural flow. So I wanted to invite you today just to experience what I'm talking about. You might be thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm doing the right thing for myself," because of what your thoughts are dictating or the way you've learned to do a particular practice. But this is a little different. We're just going to see, where is the light? Where does the light get shined? Okay, or shown. Sometimes my English is kind of weird. So, I am seated on the ground. You might be sitting in a chair. It doesn't matter where you're sitting. Just to notice, you're sitting. This is a practice that you've done every day, probably for your entire life. You're very familiar with sitting. You know how to sit. You know which way of sitting works for you. And that's habitual. We're going to explore something a little different. If it's okay for you, if it's comfortable for you, the invitation here is to, let's go with the right hand. Take your right hand, and if it's all right, just to slip your right hand underneath your behind and sit on your right hand. Now, if that doesn't work for you, you don't have to use your hand. You could just use a book or something. Just put it underneath that buttock and sit there. And your brain is registering there's something different about how I'm sitting. I'm sitting on something now, and it's going to draw your attention into that right hip in a different way than what you're used to. Then you take your hand or whatever you've chosen to sit on. And just slide your hand back and away, or slide that thing back and away. And just see what happens. You might feel like, whoa, now I really feel quite different with my right hip sitting on that cushion or that chair. Totally different experience, something so simple, a different way of attending opens up a whole new experience. Try it on the left. Again, you can use your hand, or I just used a thin notebook and it really did the trick. Slip that whatever underneath your left hip and buttock. Just rest there a moment. And notice that you can feel that thing, whatever it is that you slipped underneath you. And then start to slide it back out and away from you, behind you. And wow, that opens up a whole new experience of grounding, of centering. That's the medicine. That's what medicine is all about. It's just helping us shift our attention a little bit, helping us invite our awareness into ourselves in a little bit of a different way. And from that, all these possibilities can open up. That to me is the magic of really good medicine. And for that, you have to show up. There's no side route bypass around that. Your well-being is a 24/7 job. It's not once a year with an annual exam. It's not once a month. It's every day. It's every moment. It's every meal. It's every breath. And if that sounds overwhelming to you, I totally get it. It can sound overwhelming. As you play with that notion and start to tune in little sips throughout the day, it's going to become your normal, your new normal way of being. And I don't know, I've only lived 57 years so far, so it may be that I'm curious to see how my experiment runs out as I do more of this attending. And of course, my mind takes me off into all kinds of tangents throughout the day. But as I just come back and take these little sips, I come to rest into myself. Maybe I do 5 minutes of Dao Yin every now and then. We'll see what the effect is. And I want to hear from you too. What is the effect for you in your life? Okay. Send me a note sometime. I'd love to hear from you. Come to a class. Come to a class and see the difference. See the difference that is here for you in yoga and in Dao Yin. They're extraordinary opportunities. And they're not for everybody. So you come and check it out and see if it works for you. You might just love it. All right. Peace out.